Imagine a quiet afternoon in an old Japanese village where the rain is falling softly on the gray roof tiles. Inside the temple sits a scholar who has spent his entire life reading every book he could find. He has certificates from the biggest schools in the land, and everyone in the town bows to his knowledge. He wears beautiful silk robes that show how high his rank is among the local teachers. But one day, a simple traveler with dirty feet and a torn coat walks into the quiet temple. The traveler does not have any school papers, and he does not wear any fancy clothes. The scholar looks down at the traveler and decides to test him with a very difficult question about life. He asks a question that usually takes hours of school talk and old books to answer. The traveler does not hesitate, nor does he look for a book to find the answer. He speaks a single, simple sentence that makes the proud scholar freeze in surprise. In that 1 second, the scholar realizes that the traveler's mind is far sharper than his own. The traveler has a special kind of power that you cannot buy with money or get from a school. He is what we call dangerously self-educated, meaning he has trained his own mind to see the world as it really is. In this video, we are going to look at the exact steps you can take to build this exact kind of mind. We will show you how to stop just collecting facts and start building real deep power. Let us look at how most people try to learn things in our world today. We buy books because they look good on our shelves and we feel smart just by holding them. We save online videos to watch later, thinking that saving them is the same as learning them. We fill our heads with quick facts, short news stories, and little pieces of information. But if someone asks us to explain what we learned last week, we find that our minds are completely blank. This is because we are acting like collectors, not like real thinkers. In old Japan, teachers had a warning for people who collected books but never used their minds. They said these people were like a donkey carrying a load of holy scrolls on its back. When you just collect facts without thinking, you are only making your mind tired without making it stronger. Real learning is not about how many books you can buy or how many videos you can watch. It is about how deeply you let a few important ideas change the way you live your life. If you read 10 books but do not change your habits, you have wasted your time. But if you read just 1 page and let it change how you act tomorrow, you are on the right path. To understand why this is so important, we must go back to a time when thinking was considered dangerous by the rulers. Long ago, the rulers of the land made strict rules about who was allowed to go to school. Only the rich and the powerful were allowed to study the old books of wisdom and law. The poor farmers and workers were told that their only job was to work in the fields and obey. The rulers knew that if a farmer learned how to read and think, he would start asking difficult questions. He would ask why he had to give most of his food to the rich men in the castle. He would ask why some people were born to rule while others were born to suffer. So, some brave farmers began to teach themselves in secret. They would gather around a tiny fire at night, sharing a single book and teaching each other how to read. They did not have schools, teachers, or tests, but they had a deep hunger for the truth. These self-taught farmers became the most dangerous people in the eyes of the rulers. They could not be easily tricked by lies, and they could not be frightened by simple threats. They had built their own minds with their own hands, and that made them completely free. The first rule of becoming dangerously self-educated is a concept called Rikai. Rikai does not mean just knowing the name of something. It means holding the idea in your mind until it becomes a part of you. Think about how a child learns about a stone by holding it, throwing it, and feeling how cold it is. The child does not need to know the scientific name of the stone to understand what the stone is. Most adults do the opposite. They learn the name of the stone and then stop looking at it. To practice Rikai, you must change the way you read any book. When you open a book today, do not try to finish the whole chapter in one sitting. Read just 3 pages and then close the book completely. Sit quietly for 10 minutes and try to build the ideas in your mind like a wooden house. See the parts of the idea, how they connect, and what would happen if you took one part away. If you find that you cannot see the idea clearly, open the book again and reread the page. Do not move forward until the first 3 pages are as clear in your head as your own home. Then, try the hardest test of all. Explain the idea to an imaginary child sitting in front of you. Use only simple words that a 7-year-old child could understand without any trouble. If you have to use big, fancy words to explain it, you do not truly understand it yet. This slow way of reading might feel like you are moving too slow at first. Your friends might finish 5 books while you are still working on your first one. But a year from now, they will have forgotten everything they read, while you will still own every idea you touched. You are not trying to win a race. You are trying to build a foundation that can never be broken. The second rule of deep self-education is Ichigyo Naiheru, which means to enter one path deeply. Most people make the mistake of trying to learn everything at once. They want to study history on Monday, medicine on Tuesday, and art on Wednesday. They think that knowing a little bit about everything makes them look smart in front of others. But this kind of knowledge is like a very thin layer of water on a flat stone. It looks shiny for a minute, but the hot sun of real life will dry it up in a second. A dangerously self-educated person does the exact opposite. They choose one single area and dig deep. They dig until they hit the deep, clean water that never runs dry, even in the hottest summer. Think about an old Japanese master of the sword. He does not spend his time learning how to cook, how to build houses, and how to paint pictures. He practices that one single cut 10,000 times until he can do it without even thinking. But here is the secret that most people do not understand. Once you master one thing, you master many things. The discipline, the focus, and the patience you learn from that one path can be used for everything else in life. When you understand the deep rules of one subject, you start to see those same rules in other places. So how do you choose your one path? It should be something that you can think about for 3 years without getting bored. It should be a topic that keeps coming back to your mind when you are walking alone or trying to sleep. Once you choose it, let everything else become less important for a while. Say no to the hundreds of small, distracting topics that try to steal your time. It is better to be a master of one single tool than a servant who can use 10 tools poorly. The third rule is to start a daily practice that will change the way you think forever. In old Japan, thinkers kept a special kind of book called a Shinkoshu, or a thinking book. This was not a diary where they wrote about what they ate or who they met. And it was not a notebook where they just copied down passages from other writers' books. It was a private battlefield where they fought with their own thoughts. When you read an idea that you do not agree with, do not just forget it or get angry. Write it down in your thinking book and then write down exactly why you think it is wrong. Try to find the mistakes in your own arguments and write those down too. When you put your thoughts into written words, you force them to become clear. A thought in your head often feels complete, but when you write it down, you see the missing parts. It is like building a wooden bridge. You only know if the wood is strong when you walk on it. Your thinking book is where you test the strength of your thoughts before you use them in the real world. Keep this book completely private, so you never have to worry about what other people will think of your ideas. If you are confused, write, "I do not understand this yet." If you change your mind about something, write, "I was wrong about this, and here is why." Over the years, this book will become your most valuable possession. It will show you the exact story of how your own mind grew from a simple seed into a strong tree. The fourth and final rule of self-education is Jisen, which means putting knowledge into practice. There is a great danger in reading too much and doing too little. You can become very good at talking about bravery, but that does not make you a brave person. You can read 10 books about how to grow rice, but you will still starve if you do not plant a single seed. Real knowledge must go from your head, down through your arms, and into your actual fingers. In the old Zen tradition, a student was never allowed to just sit and read books all day. They had to sweep the floors, chop the firewood, and cook the meals for everyone. They believed that sweeping a floor with absolute focus was a higher form of learning than reading a scroll with a lazy mind. Every time you learn an important rule about life, you must look for a way to test it immediately. If you read about patience, try to stay completely calm the next time someone is rude to you in the market. If you read about focus, try to do your work for 1 hour without looking at anything else. If your knowledge does not change the way you live your days, it is just useless weight. Drop the heavy stones and keep only what helps you walk farther and stand taller. When you put these 4 rules together, you build a mind that is truly formidable. You do not need anyone to give you a certificate to prove that you are smart.